All right, here we are. Thank you everybody for joining us for day 2 of Future Forward. Our kickoff session today is using technology to differentiate your client experience. I want to say thank you to our speakers, Dawn Brolin, Dawn Sabo, and Katie Peterson. Dawn Brolin is the CEO of Powerful Accounting, founder of Team Brolin, author, a top 100 Pro Advisor, a 2020 top niche practice Pro Advisor, and has been on Accounting Today's most influential in accounting list since 2018. Dawn Sabo is a CPA and founder of Sabo Accounting and Tax, and she brings her corporate world experience to benefit small to mid-sized privately held companies. Katie Peterson is a VP of Partner Experience at BotKeeper. She has spent the last decade working with businesses, top accounting firms, and accounting platforms and third-party apps to help them become more efficient through cloud adoption. My name is Gary Dehart. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant, host of Future Forward, and as soon as I'm done with my intro, I will be the guy off the screen behind the curtain. Call me Oz. I would like to say thank you to our sponsor, Liscio. Liscio solves a two-sided problem for accounting firms and their clients. On the firm side, clients not sending documents in on time is a very real problem, causes delays and interruptions in workflow and countless late nights. Plus, no one likes to chase clients for documents. I am very guilty of having to be chased for documents. On the client side, they're busy running their businesses and counting on email to keep your clients organized and on track, but it just doesn't work. Liscio bridges this gap without changing any of your back office systems or processes. You can delight clients and staff with Liscio. I'm going to put, once I'm off screen, I'll put a link in the chat to a kind of learn more link for Liscio. I do have a couple of housekeeping items to go over before we dive in and turn this over to our speakers. This is CPE eligible. Just like all other CPE, you have to be here for at least 50 minutes. You must complete the poll questions, and we will send you the certificate within 48, maybe 72 hours, but I'm gonna try to get them out today. So if you have any questions, we're gonna ask you to put them in the chat or in the question panel, and the link to the recording will be sent to you within about 24 hours as well. It can also be found on our YouTube channel. I will also be putting the slide deck in the chat once I go off screen. I think that covers everything. I will be powering the slides here. So let me know when I need to move them, whoever is speaking at the time. And then I will turn this over to you guys. If I could find my, trying to get myself off screen here. Hold on. Oh, it moved. All right, I am out of here.
All right.
You should be able to see it. Are you seeing it?
Yep, you just want to advance the slide. We're still on the first slide, so we probably want to skip through the bios.
Sorry, user error. I don't know why this is popping up here. Hold on. Here we go. Skip through bios. All right. Is that what we're looking for?
You got it.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, my name is Dawn Sabo, and I'm going to kick us off and give you some of the foundation of what's going on and what's driving some of the need for technology. So the competitive landscape right now is that what's driving or increasing the competitiveness of our profession? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not growth. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the accounting and tax profession is only expected to increase at an industry average of 4% over the next 10 years. So if it's growth that's not driving this competitive landscape, if the growth isn't large enough to explain the increase in the competitive nature, what is driving our competitive landscape? Next slide. Okay, so the competitive drivers are commoditization of our profession, the increase in demand and fixed fee engagements. Historically, our profession has been on an hourly pay by the hour or bill by the hour, if you will, and then out of state and cross-border outsourcing. So the out of state is that now with the new age and technology, Firms are not limited to doing business in the state where they're maybe founded or where their brick and mortar office is. So they're able to compete and bid across the US. And there's also the cross-border outsourcing with the service centers that we've heard about in India and the Philippines and Venezuela. So that is adding to the competition also. And again, the commoditization of our services.
We're going to go ahead and put up the first poll. And the question is, which of the competitive drivers do you think has the most impact on your firm? Whether it's the commoditization, that's a tough word. Who put that into a PowerPoint presentation? Commoditization.
Me, and I can barely pronounce it.
Increase in fixed fee engagements or out of state and cross-border outsourcing. That is my dog in the background, if you can hear that, sorry.
We can't. It's okay.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Most people have participated, and we'll wrap it up, and I'll share the results. So looking at 44% have the commoditization of the profession, 33% increase in fixed fee engagements, 23% out of state and cross-border outsourcing. Maybe this is a good time for me to throw in a question, and that is, maybe a quick comment from each of you on that. Is that where you thought it would be? Is it different than what you thought?
I would say that it's where I would expect it to be, but commoditization, there I said it first time, woohoo, has so much to unpack. Like there are so many things that fall into that bucket with technology that's direct to small business owners or direct to consumers, with technology that people can adopt to file their own tax return if we're strictly looking at tax. We have things that are rolling out that directly compete with bookkeeping segments of accounting firms, so that 44% has a ton of different things that fall into that bucket. And I would argue that it's probably more than 44% if we were to actually unpack each of those things that are making accounting viewed as a commodity from the consumer and business perspective.
Yeah, and I would say from my perspective that one of the things that I've been really focused on since 2020-ish, maybe even a little bit before that, is the out of state and cross-border outsourcing. More for me is that, like, I really don't want local clients, to be totally honest with you. I think that they're the ones who undervalue your service, what you have to offer. And so I kind of get a kick out of that, because I'll have people out in the community, oh, Dawn, you should go to Dawn. She's a CPA, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really want you as a client, to be honest with you. I like the ones that aren't near me. I like the clients who are across the country or in another location that they just see, I feel like, I don't know if it's a feeling or it's just a fact that I feel like they see more value. And for me, I prefer to work with people that are on a remote basis than I do in person, certainly at the local level. That's just my perspective on that.
Those who don't expect you to come by the office and pick up their bank statements for them.
Yeah, I'm not, it's easier to not babysit across country than it is to have these people who want you to babysit local. And I'm over it, I guess I would say.
Dawn Sabo, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. Katie and Dawn really nailed it, but I agree. I think the commoditization, and as Katie said, if you really unpack that, there are many drivers that are in that bucket, and yeah, that's I think what's driving some of the change. Okay, so the benefits of differentiation for your client base and your organization, it's standardization, organization, and clarity. So this will help your clients with having a one way of doing things, if you will, not a million different ways of doing things. So, getting things in email, getting things in a fax, getting things somebody drops it by your office. All of that kind of goes away if you can really leverage the technology, and it again helps as long as you continue to reinforce your process and and the technology that you're using, it really does help standardize across your organization. It also streamlines processes to better meet your clients' needs. So I know for our firm, it took us a little while, but I remember when we first went to portals in 2013, and we've evolved since then, but getting them on that path, once they were on it, it was great. And then any new clients that came in, they didn't know any different. So also the technology and one of the tools we're going to talk about, or what Dawn will talk about today, it really does bridge the physical distance. So these are kind of the benefits of the differentiation and utilizing technology to meet your client's needs and to have an impact on their client experience. So we're going to talk about one of the solutions, and Dawn will take that away in just a moment. But the two solutions that my firm implemented was Liscio, and that really helps with individual client communication and secure data exchange. And then Dawn will go over the features. And then we implemented a few years ago during the pandemic, Keep. It's a CRM, but it has a lot of automation and mass communication capability. So we use the automation in our tax practice, in our tax workflow throughout the year. So most everything, a trigger happens and then the communication goes out, and we have follow-ups and whatnot. So it really, the automation and the workflows that we set up and Keep have kept us now from having to go into Liscio and send a generic message that needs to go to the client, or a message about signing their 8879. So we have the automation that helps, it supports the communication, and then it drives them to Liscio for their documents. And then other types of communications about tax law changes or COVID changes. We really leveraged that, and we got away from, we don't really send any emails now within our firm to our clients. Next slide.
Let me ask one question before we bounce over to the next slide. And this would be more for the Dawns, and that is, so you're talking about implementing technologies and like Keep, and we use Zoho, which is full suite of it literally has everything. But implementation is the difficult part, right? Do you have someone on your team who is, this is our technology person, or is that outsourced? Going back to our last slide.
When we implemented Liscio, which was, it was the year of the Trump election. So I don't know what year that was now off the top of my head, but when we implemented that, our operations manager facilitated the implementation, the rollout, the communication of Liscio. And again, we were already using another portal system. This was just portal system on steroids. So, but he handled that. And now there's nothing really new to implement. So the run and maintain was very easy, and the implementation was very easy and very fast. We just had to think about a few things structure-wise before we rolled it out, but it was very well perceived by our clients, and they love the fact that they can send a note inside of Liscio, and they love it that there is an app for their phone. So most of our clients are utilizing the app and communicating on the go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dawn.
Well, I was just going to say, for us, when we rolled out Liscio, it was really pretty easy as far as, the client user experience was really, really easy. We, as a matter of fact, they responded to us and was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is so easy, because they're already all on apps. So it's different than when it's a technology that is not an app. I think that's something that is a little bit more challenging for the client to be able to accept. And so we were able to roll out Liscio pretty easily. Tracy in our office, for the most part, she'll answer basic questions on what people may need. But at the end of the day, if they want to learn how to really use Liscio, we'll send them to Liscio directly. We don't train the clients on how to do it. There's no reason for us to train them from a mass user perspective. They kind of got it. Something would come on their phone. They were like, oh, I've got to answer this question. Okay, I got it. Or, oh, they need this document. Okay. And they take out their phone and they use the scanner that's within the Liscio app, which we'll talk about. And they're just like, wow, this is the easiest thing I've ever been able to do when it comes to a secure document exchange it was pretty easy to roll out, but Tracy knows the basics enough to make, hey, you're getting a text to your app. Did you get to your cell phone? Did you get it? Yeah. Okay. Install the app. Oh, okay. That was easy. You know, they're pretty good at being able to do that basic implementation. We've not had an issue. There's a great question that came in from Danny. How do you change your client's mindset to not send you emails and to direct all communications through Liscio? We just really made it clear that that's where we're going to respond, that's where we're going to be active, you know, almost like it's a direct text of sorts, and the ability to communicate through that. People have, it takes them a little bit because they do want to continue to use email, and it's not an instant, oh, everybody's like, yeah, we're off email. But we encourage them, if they send us an email, we'll respond and say, hey, this would work better if you send it through Liscio, so we have everything in one place. We don't want to lose it. So we've kind of implemented just in our system, if people do email us, let's try to guide them to and try to push them to do it through Liscio, as opposed to responding to the email and enabling them to continue to email. We've really tried to push them into the direction of using the app or online. They don't have to use the phone app if they don't want. They can certainly use it online, but we've just really been hard on them with that. And we've always been, even prior to Liscio, we still use SmartVault for our permanent document storage. Previously, that's how people would get us their documents. We just didn't accept email documents. We were like, nope, no, I'm not opening that document. No. And it was just, we just said it, and we just said, no, we won't accept your documents this way. And we forced them to do it another way because it's just too important. The security is so bad with an email. We just refuse to accept them that way. And I think that, you know, that's part of what I feel our responsibility is, educating them that, listen, this is not safe. And if you're doing it with other people, other places, shame on you, naughty, right? Go to your room, because that's not the way we do it here at Powerful Accounting. So that's just kind of the attitude we kept, because we really are trying to keep them secure.
That was the same for us. We would tell them they're for security and hacking and all the types of identity compromise. So we just would not take, we do not take attachments via email. We won't even open attachments via email. We don't send our clients links. And as Dawn said, it took a little bit, but you know what? Now my clients, they don't want to send anything any other way. So. And like I said, we've been using portals since 2013. So, I mean, most of my client base has been using some sort of encrypted, secure document exchange.
I have a contribution circling back to the original question of who manages technology implementation. So some things are very simple, like we've heard the document management with Liscio seems to be a very smooth implementation. But when we look at switching from maybe desktop to cloud-based GLs, implementing apps that might take a little bit more work, and just implementing technology in general, especially if you're in a larger firm environment, intentionally having somebody whose job it is to spearhead that will be critical to your success. So if you're a sole prop or a small firm where you have extra capacity to kind of learn as a team, that's awesome. But over the last decade, where we see challenges in the larger mid-size and large firms, it's ensuring that you have somebody who is dedicated to the cause. Everybody has a job to do that already exists, right? Everyone theoretically has their job description, they have their tasks. So expecting somebody to carve out time and initiative from their regular role to manage tech implementation is setting yourself up for not having expedited success. So I would definitely say, if you are a larger scale firm making larger scale changes, ensure that you have somebody whose job it is to manage that. Cross-functional impact needs to be evaluated. Customer communication and experience needs to be evaluated. Internal training, marketing strategy, all of those are things to consider. Even if the program appears to be plug and play, there's always more impact than you think there's going to be in a larger environment.
That's great insight. And that I'm glad you went back to that, because even like Keap, right? I mean, any of those CRMs, the automations, it takes time. And,
yeah.
And if you're a small firm and you don't have people, I mean, somebody has to do it. At some point, somebody's got to put their hands on it and learn it, then teach the rest of the firm or what have you. So, and
And we insourced our implementation of Keep.
okay.
I would say that advice is transferable also in working with your clients, especially your growing clients whose businesses might be experiencing exponential growth. Each of those business owners and executive teams also needs to understand the purpose of people's roles and use that to advise your clients appropriately on when they need to hire a director of strategic initiatives or a cross-functional project manager, or chief of staff. All of those roles are very important to make scale less painful and help deal with growing pains.
I think we may have gotten a little bit of the slides may have gotten a little out because I think Dawn was going to touch on Liscio a little bit more. Or have you got it? Are we good here?
I think we're good because I think this is
Okay.
all Katie. This is where Katie
Perfect.
steps up and hits a home run.
I'm gonna say,
All
so
right.
we've got a good
It's been a
transition
while
here.
since I played softball, but left field.
Me too. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I only have this slide in here for BotKeeper. So we've talked a lot about Liscio, awesome system. BotKeeper and Liscio, we do have mutual customers who are using both Liscio for document management. BotKeeper kind of goes on that next step. So our big thing at BotKeeper is that we have tech and team. So utilizing machines to do what a machine can do. I'm very passionate about people living good lives. So the way that I got into this industry, why I do what I do, is because I was raised by a single dad who was self-employed, and I wanted to help alleviate parents from living the kind of life that my dad had to live to take care of his family and cut out the BS, essentially, of running a business. That's evolved into going from working directly with businesses to working with firms to help them enable more businesses to now, doing that from more of a technology scale now that it's 2022. So we really have no excuse not to be using automation for all of the simple tasks that it can do. So when we look at the process of gathering the information that we need from our clients, ensuring that they're enabled with the right technology for what they're trying to do, and then ensuring that our time as accountants, consultants, advisors is used to do what a human mind is needed for. Ensuring that you're using your brain and your skills for things that matter is going to dramatically help you positively impact the lives of your clients and their customers and their businesses and their employees. I could nerd out about this for quite some time, so I'll try to dial it back. But from a tech standpoint, really just utilizing the machine for what it can do. And we have so many different ways that we can look at that. I'm not going to go on like a full BotKeeper sales pitch here. But when we look at things like mileage tracking, right? Turn it on your phone, it just magically does it. Gone are the days of the, little notebook mileage log. Like if you're doing that, please Google something to learn more about not doing that. But yeah, and just to spare me from going off on a complete tangent, Dawn's, if you would like to add your opinions on my passion here.
Well, I'm definitely going to in my next section. I'm 100% on board with you, Katie. 100%. Let the machines do the work.
Yep. Yeah. So if anyone's less familiar here with, how does AI and machine learning actually work when we talk about accounting? Let's start with saying this isn't taking anybody's job, theoretically, right? We're not out to take the job of the bookkeeper, the accounting professional. What we're out to do is improve the level of service that the human mind is able to offer. The AI and machine learning essentially looks at what has been going on with these transactions before. It's an algorithm, right? Like when you go to Google and you start to type something in that you've searched for before, or you put in your URL bar and it pops up with that, website that you access all of the time, because it's learned that when you type these 3 letters in, this is probably where you want to go. And if it's not that, here's the next 3 options if it's not super confident. Same thing with transaction coding. It's literally that simple. The computer learns what has happened before, and then the computer says, I can do that for you. The nice thing about how this has evolved is where we get UIs that give us confidence ratings now, like our BotKeeper platform has that. So the machine has been trained to say, I'm, 99% confident that this is what this should be. I'm going to post that without you looking at it. If we get down to like, okay, the computer says it's 60% confident, maybe you should take a peek. It's already pre-coded. If you agree, say yes, and then that's your only contribution. So no reading OFX data that's coming through, no dealing with character misalignment when you set up rules and GLs. That might be way too nerdy of a topic to go down, so I'm going to stop right there so I don't get lost in that one. But yeah, it's really exciting. The thought that we can use our minds to just do what's required as a human and then go on vacation more, or go to our kids' sports games more, or hang out with our aging grandparents or parents more. Those are the things that make me passionate about technology.
And then before we roll, I'm going to ask the Dawns for a short answer on this, but we're, if anybody has been, had their head above ground and paying any attention to what's going on in the profession, they've heard what Katie just said, maybe not in tech speak, but that, hey, use these technologies are here, implement them, get them moving. They're going to make you more productive. They're going to make you a better advisor for your client. They're going to free up your time. They're going to allow you to do X, Y, and Z. Is the adoption not as fast as it should be because of scarcity mentality? So I know I hear a lot, oh, how much does that cost? It's almost the first question you get, I'm sure, Katie, and I'm sure Lissy will get, oh, how much is it? Well, it doesn't matter how much it is, but do you think it's a scarcity mentality, or what do you think the driver is of adoption not being where it really should be?
I don't know. For me, I've never been someone who is afraid of investing. But I do think that, I don't know what it is with accountants and attorneys. Like, we make the most money, the way I look at it. Now, we'll keep the physicians and those people out of this, but from the professional service industry of accountants and attorneys, we've had this mentality of, and I get that we want to be good with our money. We want to be fiscally responsible with our money. But what I say is, when someone says to me, well, how much is it going to cost for that? I'm like, what is it going to cost? That's a good question, because it's not the cost of the app that we're talking about. That's not the cost. The cost is your time, your effort, all of that stuff. That's the ultimate cost. What are you doing now that particular app could probably solve for? What amount of time and money could it save you? And we have this expense mindset, yet we sometimes, as an accounting professional, I tell my clients, you're not spending money on me, you're investing money in what I'm going to give you and what I'm going to offer you for the service and the information and the whatever it may be. So I'm convincing my client that they're investing in me, but I'm going, oh, I'm not going to spend $40 a month on this app because that costs me money. It's a reversed mentality that we've had twisted for quite some time, that it's almost like, listen, if I can run my firm, which I don't run my firm for $50,000 a year, it's a lot smaller than that. But if it was $50,000 a year for all of my technology and I was in this office half the time, sign me up now. And that's the approach I've taken. And that's why, and we'll talk a little bit about it, like Katie's saying, we got to get out of the office. You don't get a badge for working 14 hours in a day or 80 hours in a week because it's tax season and don't call Dawn because she's so busy. I let people think that on purpose so they'll leave me alone. That's my approach, right? So I just think of it more of an investment as opposed to spending money on apps. I just hope that people are getting that through their heads, because that's key. What about Dawn 1?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything further to add. I'm with you on that 100%. That, technology has allowed me to, leave hot Houston, Texas and move to a place that I love and thought I was going to retire here. And, I got to do it sooner, and it's the technology.
I would add that cost is not the prohibiting factor that we see with success in partner experience. So for the last 10 years, I've worked directly with accounting firms with technology adoption on some level, and cost is not what leads to failure. It's dedication to change and having somebody lead the change. If you don't have that, if you just expect it to magically work without you changing anything in your life, as a happily divorced person, I will tell you that that type of mantra does not work and you will fail. So definitely commitment to the cause.
All right, so we did have the poll up there about your biggest challenge in your practice today. If you are, again, just a reminder, if you're planning to get CPE, you got to participate in these polls. So leave this open for another few seconds, and then we'll close it out and share the results, and then we'll move on. 3, get them in quick. 2 and 1. Thank you.
Yeah, 40% all of the above. You bet.
All of the above.
Yep.
Too many places to look for information. That's interesting. I can understand that. So,
Yep.
all right. Thank you very much, Dawn.
Yeah, let's go. Skip that. That's boring. So like Katie, what you said just kind of resonates and pulls right into what I love the most to talk about, and that is reassessing your success. Because I think that we're at least some of us are at a point in our lives that commitment to constantly being in this office is detrimental to your health, period. Okay. And I feel that there's a lot of, and we see this on social media. I typically don't do a lot of participation on the Facebook groups, but I love reading them. I love to go through all the different accounting groups that are out there and just reading what people are saying or asking and feeling. And there's a lot of depression, I'm just going to say, for lack of a better description, in our industry. And I think that part of the reason for that is that mindset of, we are people pleasers, period. We want to help the client. If the client has a question, we want to answer it right away. And that habit of constantly responding immediately has set the expectation that we have to respond immediately. Now, because of that, and because of this last polling question, we have to deal with emails, we have texts, we have sometimes faxes coming in, phone calls, walk in the door, you name it. And yet we're supposed to sit here and prepare a tax return or close a month end or do these other things that are what actually make us money, by the way. And we're dealing with constant communication, and that challenge is wicked. It's wicked. So at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for you to step back and say, okay, busy season's over. It's, what we like to do is, okay, I'm going to be gone for a week. Don't anyone call me or talk to me. Don't even look at me. And don't think I'm an accountant, because I'm not for this next week. And that's what that process has been what we've done for years. But what I would challenge you to do, as opposed to running from yourself, which is what you're doing, stop for a hot second and say, hey, listen, do I have the right technology in place, processes, training? One of the things that we do at Powerful Accounting, we use Carbon for our workflow. We set up a work in Carbon beginning of every tax season. And we put a work in there. And then as challenges occur, or, I've got a client, we have a custom client organizer because I want to ask the questions I want to ask, not what Lacerte tells me to ask. So I created my own client organizer, and we will go through and say, oh, we should add this to the organizer. Oh my goodness. But in busy season, I'm not doing that. So Tracy will go into the work and she'll add a task, says, we got an individual organizer. We want to add X, Y, and Z. And we just keep the tasks going in Carbon. And we are reassessing our success during the busiest time of the year, so that once it's over, we can sit back and go, okay, now let's remember. I told you I slacked you to do X, Y, and Z. And we go into the work, and there's all the stuff that we found to be difficult. And we take those tasks and we make them action items. We assign them to people. Maybe it's Nicole that does this thing, or Kyle does this, Tracy does this, I do that, whatever it may be. And then we start to reassess and say, hey, this was what we did last year. Client communications. We wanted to just take the scissors and stab our eyeballs out with the scissors, right? Because we were going to 80 places. We said, we need a better solution. And we went out and we decided we needed to find it. And we found Liscio. Okay. So we're probably, I call us late to the game on that. It was just last summer, but we knew we needed to do something. Are you working efficiently? Like, I tell my staff, if you find that you are using these things to enter a transaction, stop. There's got to be something that can do that for us, and whatever the scenario may be. So one of the things that we decided was we found Bookkeep. That was a great app for us. We had some people with, they were using Square, and we were like, we shouldn't be entering the net transaction that comes in through the bank feed. Okay. Hello, people. Should be gross number minus expenses. So we really see what the gross sales are, blah, blah, blah. So so we made a rule, if you ever type in a transaction and you don't do something about it, we cut a finger off. So I told them, like, if you want to keep your digits, we call these digits, you want to keep them, you can't be entering transactions. So we decided that, and that helped us really be more efficient and prepared for what? January, the real month of hell right there. That's the real one, because that's where it's wrap up the books, taxes are coming. I want to be able to prepare a tax return on February 1st. We found that if we didn't increase our efficiency, that January was just going to be worse. And that was more because of I'm listening to my team. They're like, oh, January's coming. Guess what, guys? Get W-9s throughout the year. Why are you waiting until December to evaluate the file to say we need these 10 W-9s for people that you'll never hear back from? Implement something new. Educate the client. Don't give anyone a penny unless you collect the W-9. So taking the time to reassess your success comes from a bunch of different areas. It's learning as you go. It's saying we're not going to stand for any data entry. And you know what? We need to educate our clients that January is a better time for us. So it became just a habit for us to consistently think about the things we're doing and how can we make them better. Next slide. We want to make sure that we are making having the clients have a better experience. So my whole concept, and obviously the world is digital, they're not going digital. We said that, what, Katie, like 13 years ago, I think. Get on, like, if you don't change now, you're gonna like be left behind. Remember those days?
I've spent most of my adult life having this conversation, so.
Right? You know, and stop using workarounds. Okay, you know what that's from? That's QuickBooks Desktop's fault. That's what I say. Because we were the kings and queens of workarounds with QuickBooks Desktop. If it didn't do what we wanted it to do, man, custom field, filter, add it to the invoice, bang, we got what we wanted.
Yeah.
We just were the king. And so we don't have to do that anymore. That's the great thing. There's enough apps out there for us to be able to do what we want. So my concept, so of course, softball, by the way, we won the regionals last weekend, super regionals this weekend. We are on fire. You don't have a designated motivator in your firm. You need to find one, because I'm telling you, it makes a difference. It brings a team together and puts them on fire to do what's best for your firm. And we've been doing that here at Powerful Con. It's awesome. But I look at softball the same way I look at my firm. In softball, if you don't have a pitcher, Katie, how are we doing? Game ain't going to go real well if you don't have anyone pitching, right? So we've got certain positions on a team, no matter what kind of team, be a soccer team, doesn't matter. And we have certain positions in our firm that we have to solve for. We have positions, practice management. If you don't have a practice management workflow, and it's not in Excel, by the way, or on a notebook, this isn't workflow. This is for the burn pile. At the end of the day, every firm has positions: practice management, client management and communications, permanent document storage, right? How are you processing payroll? You have clients in 80 different payroll providers? Like, no. We use ADP. We love ADP. That's just what we choose. You could choose whatever it is you want. Some people are using all things Intuit. Some people are using Intuit, Paychex, ADP, Gusto, whatever you want to call it. So I found that, listen, it's inefficient for me to try to say, oh, I got to go deal with DrainWorks. What payroll platform are they on again? Like, my brain is dying by the day, right? I'm over the hill at over 50. So I can't be thinking about that stuff. So I decided to streamline. But we are all involved in payroll in some capacity. People are either asking for recommendations, or they want you to help process it or set it up, or pick one and stick to it. Get good at one thing, right? Online payments, accounting. Hey, guess what? Everybody needs an accounting software. There's a ton of them out there. We know that. There's QuickBooks, there's Xero, there's Intact, there's, FreshBooks, there are all kinds. We like to be experts at one thing. That's just my philosophy. You can be different. I don't care. Don't be mad at me. It's just my philosophy. They gave me the mic, so I took it. Obviously tax software. If you have clients with inventory, you need some kind of inventory management. Are you hosting? Are you just hosting? Or are you also concerned about cybersecurity with your local devices? Because I used to think that I was just had a hosting solution and I was rocking on, right? I'm all set. Well, wait a minute. What about my local devices? They're not covered. So there's so much to think about. Are you quoting? Are you, listen, FP&A, you stop doing transactional. You better start thinking about financial planning and analysis for businesses, your business clients, they need it. So anyway, everybody needs these positions. Then all you have to do, so I've given you the positions in a firm. I'm not saying these are the only positions. There may be other offsets that you might like keep if you want to do some CRM stuff. That may be, those are not required. These things you've got to have. Then all you have to do, this is the easy part, all the way to the right, find the best players for those positions. Katie, do you want somebody who's going to throw a 65-mile-an-hour softball or somebody that's going to throw a 50-mile-an-hour softball? I want the 65-mile-an-hour softball pitcher all day long. I want the kid who zones in and can crank the ball over the fence. That's the players in the positions for your firm that you need. You need the home run hitters, okay? And they may not be the ones that I've chosen here. I don't care. The point is that you fill them and that they integrate. Next slide. That's where it all.
Add something to.
I
We had a
want you
question
to.
come in.
Yeah.
We had a question come in around the lineup. So just to reiterate, and Dawn did say it, it might look different depending on your firm. So when I was in my firm full time, we were a non-tax business accounting firm. So obviously all the tax stuff out the window, didn't do it, hate it, never wanted to, awesome. Payroll, you might have a payroll relationship with an ADP rep or some local company rep where you just refer it all out and you don't even have to deal with it. Awesome. Biggest thing, make sure it connects with technology. So your lineup doesn't necessarily have to hit every single one of those things, but look at what are you doing? What are your service offerings? What can you cut? Maybe you can cut all of the time that you spend even talking about and offering payroll and build a referral relationship that gives you kickbacks depending on your licensing restrictions. So there's a million different ways that this can go. So don't feel like, you have to have all of these things in this exact same way. This is just a great framework with what Dawn does. So
Exactly, Katie. Yeah, this is what I do. Doesn't mean it works for everybody. So it's a great example, at least for you to start thinking about what does your playing field look like? If you were to sit down right now, this moment, and you took a piece of paper and you just with a crayon, even if you want to use a crayon, I love crayons, and just draw out what does your tech stack look like right now? Do you have applications that don't integrate at all? Maybe they do integrate. Maybe you just haven't done enough homework to see that they actually do integrate with other applications. Again, just some way for you. My whole goal is that this gets you to think about it and to consider what you're doing now and where are the gaps in your positions. You don't have players for some of your positions. Find them, get out there. There's plenty of resources to find them. So think about that. Next slide. Just an idea to do that. Again, think about with Liscio specifically, sending out a list of, let's just even talk about 1099 vendors. And you're like, okay, we always send a list of the, expense by vendor detail for the year, top to bottom, anything over 600. We send that to the client and say, hey, we've got 10 W-9s for these people, but not for these people, blah, blah, blah. And we send that to them. You can literally print right from QBO or whatever you're using and right into with Liscio Dispatch to a task and a communication with the client so that they can respond. And again, I want to monitor what's going on, but Nicole can see anything I've sent out or anything she sent out, I can see. So you're just having that integration, that workflow that allows you to do that communication better than you're doing it now, getting you out of email, which is some of the questions and some of the comments that were in there, right? So next slide. Having those integrations are important. So obviously change, listen, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is insanity. We've all said that 8 million times. I'm so sick of hearing it, but we're still doing it. So that's even more insane. Like that's double insanity. So we've got to work away from email, have a client communication app that streamlines that workflow, allows everybody to see it internally, externally, mobile friendly, which is awesome, and allows you to use security because we've got to start doing a better job of educating and protecting the client. Anybody else have anything on this? Are we good? No, they're just looking at me. They're looking at me. Next slide. because I know we still have a bunch. Obvious, and like we're killing this. We're like the horse is down, it's done. Why are we still beating it? But it's inefficient, insecure, and it's not mobile friendly. Emails, no. Next slide. It's an easy way to do it. Lissio does calm chaos. Now, Katie, and I'm sorry, I keep picking on Katie, but I just known her for so long, and we just know each other. But this is one of the things for me, the peace of mind. I need that. I need to go to practice and not have people texting me because they need something. Number one, I thought this was the solution before I found Lissio. 2 phones, work phone, personal phone. I thought this would fix it. And I actually do block friends. If they text me on my personal phone about business, I block their phone number. I tell them they're out of my personal life forever. Fine. We can be business friends, I guess. And they take it literally. But I found that that still didn't solve my problem. Why are we doing text at all? So one thing that from the calm the chaos, I hate notifications on my phone. See, I've got some right here. I don't like notifications on my phone because it gives me stress and anxiety that I have something I have to do and I don't like it. So on my personal phone, with the exception of obviously texts and things, I don't have any notifications because it stresses me out. What's great about Lissio is you can choose to have the notifications on or choose not to have the notifications on. They do not have my personal cell phone number. And they can only communicate with me through the app. Again, this takes time. This doesn't happen overnight. You have to train them just like children. You're training them just like kids. So it will calm that chaos and allow you to respond when you want to respond, but everything in one place. Oh, I get into the office today. Okay, what's on my phone? What's in my email? What came through Slack? I spend the first hour before Lissio trying to figure out where am I even starting? I got the first hour just managing my email and all this other crap that I'm doing. And I'm not making any money. Like, hello. Being able to have control, the control gives you the peace of mind. That's what you need. Next slide. So obviously, well, and it was so funny too, because I used to think like I wanted my own app. I was like, I'm going to have a powerful accounting app and people are, that's how I'm going to communicate. And I thought of this, probably 10 years ago, but I was like, it's going to cost thousands of dollars to make an app. Well, my clients think I built Lissio. I'm like, I've got an app for you. I built, it's called Lissio. Why'd you call it Lissio? I don't know. Because I don't really know why Chris called it Lissio. It doesn't matter, right? So I just said, okay, now I have my own app. But one of the biggest things for me is the scanner, because clients will try to take a picture and even email it to you or text it to you. And one of the things that makes you crazy, if you have a 2848 and you ever call the IRS, they're on hold for an hour and a half, you get through to the person, you fax over the POA and they can't read it. Sorry, call back. That will make you a crazy person. When you have a scanner and you go to send over and fax over that POA to the person on the other end, they get it, it's clear, they can read it, you're done. Okay, and it's secure, it's got their social security numbers on it, etc. It's absolutely critical to have. You want them to say, have the notifications on their phone so they know, oh, Dawn's trying to get in touch with me. This is Dawn's app. So they're like, oh, okay, because I want my refund or I need an answer to a question. I've responded to them. It's in one place. They don't need to look at their email or any other place. Freaking awesome. Next slide. Polling question 3. Get it. Yes, Jonathan. Rev share, not kickback. I hear you, bro. Yes. So actually, Anthony, I'll just answer a couple. I'm just taking over. I'm sorry. It's just.
I do have to jump in. We've got about 2 minutes and we're going to need to wrap this whole event up. Lots of information. And I do want to say that while Lissio is a sponsor of Future Forward, this is not while it may seem it's not a paid placement for them. I mean, the Dawns both use Lissio in their practice. It's not like we said, hey, we actually had built the sessions before Lissio even came on board as a sponsor. So just wanted to point that out. I mean, it's just real world, and there are technologies that people love, and there's some that they don't, and there's some they use, and there's some they don't. And from what I'm seeing, Lissio certainly seems to be one that they do love. And with Katie on here, I'm sure some people are like, why is BotKeeper on a session that's so heavy on Liscio, but it's about the technology and it's about leveraging technology to really change your life, right? I'm gonna end that poll and share those results real quick.
So to add a little background here, we have 31% who's actually using a secure portal, which is awesome. For everything else on there, definitely looking at like Liscio, and BotKeeper and Liscio have a little bit of overlap in the document request and aggregation area. So those are features that exist in the BotKeeper platform as well as Liscio. So they work in tandem because there's a bunch of other stuff that BotKeeper does that Liscio doesn't do. So from a technology perspective, the whole mantra of using a secure portal, we used to use ShareFile back in my firm days because that was the best thing then. Now all of this stuff is way better than it used to be, just only using the portal. So definitely take a look, poke around, figure out what you need. If you need more than document management, Liscio has great relationships with other vendors, BotKeeper, for example, on what is that next step past document management? What's the next piece of automation that you need for your firm? I do also want to just add one acronym. So a lot of the time when we're looking at these different things that we need to do in our practice, we talk about ROI. What is the return on investment if we make this change? But one that I like even more is COI, which is cost of inaction. So if you don't do anything, what is that costing you? Not just the ROI of a change, but what is the cost of inaction of what you need to change? So focusing on that can help you really quantify the areas that you need to step in versus just looking at ROI of certain types of changes. So, and
That's great. Well,
now.
thank you. And I hate to do this, but I am going to have to shut us down. I'm going to throw this poll up. And so find out if you would like to hear more from Liscio, and then if so, we'll get your information to them. If not, we won't. And I do want to say thank you to Dawn, and here we go. I do want to say thank you to Dawn and to Katie just for taking some time out of your schedule, sharing your incredible depth of knowledge with the audience and with me. I always learn something every time I do one of these, and it certainly is greatly appreciated. What was, Katie, one more time? COI was cost of inaction.
Cost of inaction. So if you don't act in the right direction, what is that costing you?
Is that trademarked? Google.
Nope.
Costofinaction.com.
Get the tissues out before you start, because it's usually a sad road. But
all right. Well, thank you very much. And we will be wrapping this up. I appreciate everybody's time. I've got to bounce over to our next session, which starts in 3 minutes. So if I'm a little late and you're on this session, you know why. We'll see you very soon. Thank you all.